I'm having such a minstrel day.
I just,
Minstrel, not minstrel like a black
I said that
person
the
in
other
old
day.
country. I'm not a minstrel. I'm just minstrel, which I am, which I think might be apt for our conversation today. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Jolie.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm minstrel. But I'm good. I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk to you about this book that we have going on here. Do you have it with you?
I do. It's right here.
This is my second copy that Melissa got signed for me because she's a really good friend. I'm gonna show my little signature. There it is.
Yay.
Look, well, it's none of your business what it says, but
I think she wrote the same thing in everybody's book.
yeah, I think she wrote the same thing. It doesn't matter. We're gonna talk about Before I Let Go, which everyone's talking about right now because it's like such a cool book. First of all, welcome to everyone watching this. This is Knocking the Books. It's me and Melissa's little book club where we talk about books. We used to only talk about books that were about sex, love, or relationships, hence the title, Knocking the Books, off the song Knocking the Boots, which you should also listen to. It's very good, but explicit. Don't listen to it if you're not of age for that. But we just really like reading, and we both think reading is very sexy, and we wanted to be friendly and talk about the books that we're reading. And the first book we're going to talk about is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. It's the story of Yasmin and Josiah. It's Yasmin, right? Yasmin, like Jasmine.
Jasmine. Yeah.
That's what I thought. Like, okay, Yasmin and Josiah. They're a divorced couple who are co-parenting two children and running a very successful restaurant together. And even though their marriage ended under really tragic circumstances, they keep finding themselves drawn back together, and they're wondering if they're ready to let go of what they once had. So, something that we do when we used to do the book club in person was give a one word and a one sound reaction to the book, just like your immediate reactions to the story. So, Melissa, do you have a one word and or sound for this book?
I have a sound.
Okay, I'm ready.
Here's my sound. I've been thinking of this in my head. I hope it translates well. My sound is, um, that's my sound because there are many moments in the book when it made me do that. I was like, yeah. So
Okay, I have a sound. My sound is, I hope this translates well. It's a sigh of relief. I think it sounds a little bit more like a sigh of ecstasy or exasperation. Those two are very the same
I
for
got
me.
exasperated.
Okay. I wasn't going for exasperation. Let me try again. Let me try again. Is that better? Is that more like
Okay.
relieving?
Yes.
Or is that still sounding sexual?
I feel like no, I get the relief. I get the relief.
Okay. Well, okay, great. But I want to know also like the background to your squeal. Like why was that your initial reaction after reading it
Um,
or during reading it?
yeah. I think like as things start to come together, like it made me excited. Like, oh gosh, like we're getting here, we're communicating,
Yeah.
we're talking about the things we were afraid to talk about or doing the things we were afraid to do. And I was like, this is so good. Like
I kind of want to start with the fact that, well, I guess I first want to ask you, like, you and I talked about this book for months. You got it signed for me several months ago. I read it a few months ago and pressured you to read it as well. I was just curious, like, why do you think you put it off for so long?
oh,
It's
okay.
okay. You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
No, no, it's fine.
Okay.
So so yeah, I got it signed at the book talk with Kennedy Ryan. And during it, she was talking about the themes of the book, mental health, depression, um, just general apathy toward living. And at the time, that was something I was like dealing with heavily. And, while she was talking about it, I started crying.
Oh,
So from there, I think I was like, I don't know if I can read this book yet. And like, though I'm still like going with like my journey with my mental health and everything, and it has its ebbs and flows and all of that. But I think I was in a better place now than I was
mhm.
a few months ago or a year ago. to read this.
I think I'm in a better place now because of the book. I think that like I cried a lot while reading it because of what you were saying about like the mental health stuff that was in it, the themes of mental health and like grief and things like that. And the book definitely helped me a lot with that. Hence like my sigh of relief as I was reading it. It was very like, oh, I feel like understood by this story. The book, as I said, is about Yasmin and Josiah, and both of them used to be married, but they recently got divorced after the tragic loss of their unborn son. What was her son's name again? Was it Jeremiah? Is that
It
what they
was
were going to? No,
Henry.
Henry. And Jeremiah was a quote from the Bible that they put on the wall in his
Oh,
room. Well, that was just so sad. Like, anyway, but yeah, they lost their son, and it caused Yasmin to go through a really, really deep depressive episode for several months that she had a hard time getting out of, and she asked for a divorce from her husband. And her husband had recently lost his aunt who had raised him after his parents died and he was a child, a month before they lost their son. So they were just going through so much grief, and it really impacted their relationship, but also their relationship with their children, and also like both of their mental health. And Yasmin went to therapy and got a lot better. And the story also centers around Josiah's journey into therapy as well, alongside his youngest, his son, who does also go to therapy and encourages his father to do so as well. Were there any like moments or characters from the story that really stood out to you? I have some.
um, well, definitely Yasmin, because I feel like relating to her with going through a hard time and making the decision to go to therapy and get better. But I guess now that I think about it too, like Josiah, and his reluctance to start therapy, and I feel like I can relate to him in the way where like maybe I wasn't so reluctant to start therapy, but like other healing things, like maybe
Mm-hmm.
medication, like that's something I've definitely been resistant to. Um,
Totally.
so yeah.
I really liked their daughter, Deja. Well, let me not say I liked her because she got on my nerves a lot. They have a daughter in the story named Deja who's like 13, I think, and
Yeah.
she's really into like hair. And she's really like she has her own like TikTok channel, and Instagram channel where she does hair, and like apparently like she's really popular. But Deja has like such a tense relationship with her mother because we find out later in the story that Deja blames her mother for their divorce and losing her father, or losing access to her father in the home, because she used to hear the arguments that they used to have, and she heard them the night that Yasmin asked Josiah for a divorce. And I thought that was so complex and complicated, because I don't think we think off, well, I think about it often, but it was interesting to see how Yasmin and Josiah's struggles with their relationship and their mental health impacted like the people around them, including their daughter. And I liked how they kind of handled that, like how Deja was able to finally express like why she had so much. She was just so passive aggressive. She got on my nerves. Like I appreciated her character, but she got on my nerves. Like she would be so happy, and then her mom would like just say something, and like her whole demeanor would like just shut down. And I'm just like, dang, girl, like she's trying. You don't gotta play your mama's ribs like right in front of her, or like you don't gotta do all that, or talk up your dad's new girlfriend's ribs like right in front of her. Like that was we're gonna get to the new girlfriend, because I have thoughts on that too, which I think might be surprising. I didn't hate the new girlfriend. I thought I just had a problem with one thing she did, because why would you even set yourself up this way? But I'm getting ahead of myself. I liked Deja because she just represented to me the complexities of dealing with someone who is going through something. Like when Josiah told her, like she told her mom's like, oh, you did nothing, you were kind of just like you let dad leave and you were just like laying in bed all day long. Which, as someone who also struggles with depression, I recognize those symptoms of not being able to do like anything, like the most basic things. And it causes a really vulnerable moment between Yasmin, Josiah, and Deja when she is basically telling her like all I had was the strength to like get you kids to school, get you fed, and like just stay alive, basically. And Deja doesn't fully understand it, but the way Josiah defends Jasmine in that moment and explains that like when you're going through it, sometimes the little things is like all you can do. I've just really liked how they explained that to her, like as a child. And I also just liked seeing that representation. And I like that eventually Deja attempts to try and understand and appreciate her mom a little bit more. But yeah, listen, I like Deja. And I really liked the friends. I loved Hendrix and I love Soledad. Like I would read a whole book just about Soledad because I just want to know, like, first of all, I like how the book included her recipes for her dressings and I think no, the pound cake was Aunt Bird's recipe.
Yeah.
But or the limoncello pound cake was but I like how the book also included recipes because there's a lot of food in this book since they both own restaurants. But yeah, I love Soledad. I wish we got more details about Soledad's relationship with her husband. Like there's clearly like something going on there.
But that's the next book.
Is there going to be another book?
Soledad's book is coming next year, I think.
Shut up.
You gotta follow Kennedy Ryan on Instagram and everything. She's been writing.
I mean, her newsletter. I knew she had a new book coming out. I didn't know it was Soledad's story.
Yeah, this is like, it's a whole Skyland series. So Soledad's book is, I think, coming out in 2024. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so exciting. Oh, sorry, I probably just blew out all that audio. I got very excited because Soledad was so interesting to me and her daughters, like, and just how she's like this seemingly like perfect woman on the outside, but like there's like something going on like within her. And I just like how she and Hendrix and Yasmin were able to like meet and be really supportive of each other. The scene where Yasmin throws her ring into the fountain and then tries to get it, and then the girls come outside, they're like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm trying to find my ring. And they're like, okay. And they like all jump in the fountain with her. I was surprised that they found it. I did not think they were going to find that ring. I thought it was just going to be gone. But yeah, I've been talking for forever. Were there other characters that you liked?
Well, I will say Hendrix, in the beginning, she was kind of rubbing me the wrong way when she was talking about Josiah. I was like, you supposed to be my friend. Stop talking about how good how
fine my man is.
I was like, that's weird. But I get Hendrix though. Like she has a big personality.
Yeah.
So it's cool. And I thought it was cute how like Hendrix took Deja out on like a little girls' day or whatever. And you know, like I feel like it's nice that that Yasmin has that village. And
yeah, for sure.
Like, you know, it's hard enough raising a 13 going on 14-year-old who has their issues, but at least you can have someone who can like reach out to them and be like, hey, what's up? What's going on? Talk to me or whatever.
I actually really liked that.
Yeah, so that was nice. And I like Josiah's therapist because he was very much like, okay, I see you're gonna make this hard for me, but that's cool because we gonna, you know, I can volley with you. Like
that's actually probably the most memorable scene for me when Josiah is having like his epiphany, his aha moment in therapy, and like his therapist just like hands him a box of tissues and he's like, what are these for, man? And he was like, for your tears, because like Josiah had never cried. Like the man had never cried in his entire life, which is wild considering everything that he had been through, like just in the last like couple of, like first of all from his childhood, like finding out both of his parents died on the same day in an accident, and then like finding the body of your guardian for your whole life on the kitchen floor, and then like losing your son like a month later, like having never shed a tear. Why do you think that is? Why do you think Josiah just didn't cry ever?
I think it was easier for him to like compartmentalize things because I think he probably felt, well, one, as a man, is like, you know, you feel like you got to be strong for everybody else. And then like, you know, I got to keep my business running and all of this. I don't think he meant to feel this way towards Yasmin, but I feel like he felt like, you know, she can do that and be sensitive and a third, but I can't.
Yeah, and she can fall apart, but I have to stay like together in some kind of way.
Yeah. And I think sometimes people just feel like it's easier if you just put the feelings in a box, even though that only makes it worse.
Yes, they do. I think that's why I appreciate their son. Oh my gosh, I forgot the name of their
Kasim?
son. Kasim Khalil. Hold on, I'm
Kasim.
gonna find it. I just want to confirm that his name is Kasim. Sorry, sorry, sorry,
Right
sorry,
in the
sorry,
beginning.
sorry. Yeah, I'm like right in the first chapter. Yeah, Kasim, you're right. Um, but yeah, I like that their son was the opposite of that. Their son was super expressive about his feelings all the time. He was talking about how he was afraid of death because of everything he experienced at a young age. He is openly excited about things because that's the thing. When you hold on your emotions, you begin holding in all the emotions, like not just the grief. You hold in when you're happy about something. You hold in when you're excited about something. You hold in like the love that like another person might need when you're like just harboring in all your emotions. And I like that his relationship with his son kind of taught him how to just one, be a little bit more expressive, but also encourage him to go to therapy where we meet. In my mind, I picture his therapist as fine, but his fine ass dreadhead therapist. So yeah. What are some of the moments that me in the story that made you squeal, like have your moments?
Ooh. Well, let's see. Oh, the trip to Charlotte.
Ooh.
So,
Yeah.
and on Twitter recently they were talking about romance math.
Oh, please tell me romance math.
Romance, one of the tropes of romance math is like, you're going on a trip, but there's only one room left.
That is like my least favorite romance trope. Forced proximity is like, and I knew it was happening as soon as they were like, "Oh, let's go scout new restaurants in Charlotte." I'm like, "There's going to be a mix up with that hotel room. I'm sure of it. I'm positive." And there was, but it led to some good moments. I appreciated that.
Yeah, like that moment being like the catalyst for them, like maybe not quite getting back together, but like, starting something. Like,
Yeah, yeah, it was sexy for one. Spoilers, but that was one of the first very sexy moments of the story. Not the last. When they were in the auditorium at the school assembly, I was just like, y'all have no shame at all. Y'all just do not care. And I was like, I love it. More of it, please. But also like before any of that even happened, like they both like were just throwing back shots and just finally talking, like finally expressing themselves and like how they feel, and they're not fully like the deep conversations, but like getting open about how they felt about each other, not really about how they felt like within themselves yet. And I like that. That's so realistic. It's not like in the movies where you just have this one like standing in the rain, like pouring my heart out conversation, and suddenly like everything I may have been afraid of or stressed about or angry about in the past just disappears. Like they slowly started like rebuilding their relationship. And that started in Charlotte. Oh, that was nice. I liked the couple that they met when they were in Charlotte. That owned the original restaurant, like who like had been together for decades and had never been married. Like, and they were just like, our relationship is our relationship. And I could tell that kind of like gave Yasmin and maybe even Josiah, but it was in Yasmin's perspective, some hope of like, okay, like even though I'm divorced, it doesn't mean that like my relationship can't be rebuilt. And it can be rebuilt in like in our own unique way.
yeah.
Any other squealy moments for you?
Um, when Deja and Yasmin finally had their breakthrough, like we
Yeah.
discussed, that was a really good moment. And like it was like, finally, because I mean, I think I had text you this too. Like Deja was getting on my nerves. I was like, this little girl, I just need her to like realize the gravity of what happened.
Yes. Give your mama a hug. She just lost her baby. Like you over
Yeah.
here, like, ugh, mom, I hate you so much. Like, ugh.
Like I get it. It's hard to be 13. It's hard enough to, your parents are going through it and this and the third. But I was like, just to not realize that, you know, it was
Life's
hard.
hard. It's hard for you. Imagine how hard it is for your mom. Yeah, I that was one of my sigh of relief moments, and also like during that reconciliation, like Deja opened up to her mom about something that was stressing her out, like going to an all white school and how she wanted to go to a more predominantly black public school in the next year and like really pursue her goals of being like an influencer and a hairstylist. And I thought that was just such a really realistic modern moment, like this idea that like you don't have to go to college to be successful, like you can do your own thing. But also it was just showing that yes, Deja is an annoying little teenager, but she has problems as well. And damn, I'm just so far removed from teenage dumb. I'm just like, you whippersnappers, you don't know what life is. But I remember being a teenager and having genuine problems. And I liked how that was also a realization moment for Yasmin of like, I've been too focused on my own problems and not listening to either of my children, honestly. So yeah, that was a big sigh of relief moment for me. Squeals and relief. I think that's a good reaction to a book.
We're about to talk about Vashti.
Vashti. Okay, you can go first, please.
Okay. All right. So, I do want to say, you know, it was kind of cute how the book started off with like the memory of how they got engaged. I'm like, oh, they're starting us off real sweet, and then like a few pages later, it's like, oh, who was this girl rubbing on my ex-man's shoulder or whatever she was doing? So clearly you can see how I feel about Vashti. But you know, I'm like, okay, clearly Yasmin is jealous. I feel like that's valid. Like it's weird. Mm-hmm. There's a when you just start dating again, maybe she could have expressed it better because
she could have expressed it at all. She didn't even like express it.
But you know, I guess Vashti is kind of like caught in the middle because she's not like a bad person or anything. She's just somebody looking for love, and I feel like she liked Josiah a lot.
Yeah,
you can kind of just tell like it's not gonna go.
This ain't it, sis. This ain't it. Like this is my issue with Vashti. I don't think she is a bad person. I just think she made bad choices. Like choice number one, why are you trying to start a relationship with your boss? Period. Like you're the cook at their restaurant and like you're starting a relationship with the man who owns the restaurant. One. Then why you have a relationship with the man who owns the restaurant with his ex-wife? Like why would you even want to be in that situation? Why would you want to see his ex every single day? Every day of your life. I get having confidence. I get recognizing that you a bad bitch and can't nobody touch you, but I ain't trying to see my man's ex every day, the ex who signs my paychecks. No, I'm not interested in that. And 3 or 2.5, it's obvious to everyone in this book who has eyes that those two are still in love with each other. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing it? Why are you pretending that you can't see what you can see? Like, is Josiah that fine? Is he that fine that you gotta like do all these things? I don't know. They didn't describe him the same way they described the therapist. The therapist seemed very fine, but Josiah seemed good to look at. 4 or 3.5, whatever. I'm just going to say 4. D. 4. Why did you go to Thanksgiving? Why did you go to their house? For not even 4. Let's take it before we get to Thanksgiving. Why did you go to their? Why are you sitting in my house? I'm not Yasmin, but why are you sitting in my house on my couch when I am not there playing Monopoly with my children? I did not give you permission. There is no way I'm going to go to my man's baby mama house and she doesn't know I'm going to be there. Right. The first time I'm in that house is not going to be without her permission. Never. Like, poor decision after poor decision. And then you go on Thanksgiving. Yasmin shouldn't have invited you, but you should never have accepted that invitation. Because why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why are you not pretending you can't see what you can see? The only good, smart decision that Vashti made, besides whatever recipe she puts in those ribs, because apparently the ribs are just that. They're just amazing. The only good decision Vashti made was deciding to relocate to the Charlotte office. I loved that. Actually, 2 decisions. I like her relocating to the Charlotte office. 1, because again, girl, why would you stay in a situation where you got to see your man and his ex, and now your ex-man and his new girl who was his ex, which should have been obvious to you all the time? Why would you stay in that work situation? But she also was like, this is my dream job. I ain't gonna let no man jeopardize this. And I was like, you know what, you're right. Like, go be head chef somewhere else. Like, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I like that you can keep it professional. I also loved the scene where Josiah and who's Josiah? Anyway, sorry. I'm like, do I know someone named Josiah? I do know someone named Josiah, but do I know someone named Josiah? No, that's a portmanteau of Yasmin and Josiah, which is a cute little couple name. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. um, but yeah, I do like the moment when Josiah and Vashti break up. Vashti or Vashti? Vashti?
Hashtag.
Vashti. I like the moment where Vashti and Josiah break up. One, because it's like finally we can get to the real thing, but also like he tells her like you deserve to be with someone who is crazy about you, who isn't like pulled somewhere else. And she was like, "Yeah, I do." And I was like, "You're damn right." Like I'm. It took you forever, but I'm glad you're finally seeing your worth. That you're like, you know what? I don't deserve to be in this situation. I should not be in this situation. And she left gracefully. Oh, I forgot the moment when they had sex for the first time and Yasmin came over to the house to pick up Kasim's and like you just walking around in this man's shirt. Like just, even if even if that wasn't my man's ex who just came in the house, anyone who comes into my home and I am post coitus, I'm not about to just walk around in a t-shirt and my panties. Like, how old is this woman supposed to be? Like, she just made such terrible choices.
Yeah, they never said, but I get the sense that she was a little younger.
Ugh,
She
I
had a
just
baby.
I just didn't understand. Like, I don't consider her a villain. I don't think she actively was trying to keep Yasmin interested. If anything, she was pushing them together with her, like with her shenanigans. Like, I don't think she was actively trying to keep them apart. I don't think she thought about the two of them at all. Like, which is her problem. Like, she didn't even think about the implications of their very recent divorce. Like, I think she just saw what she wanted, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do that." Like, and you know what? She did it. She tried it. She tasted it, realized it wasn't for her eventually. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that strength of character. If anything, I didn't like Deja's relationship with Vashti. Like, she was just so negative to her mom about Vashti. And it was just, and Kasim was just oblivious. It's like, I just like the ribs. Doesn't matter to me what's going on. It's like, as long as I can still eat ribs, I'm fine. Like, I don't care. So yeah, Vashti, I'm praying for you, girl. I'm praying for all the Vashtis out there. And I was one of you once. I've been a Vashti. I just want us to make better decisions.
Yeah.
Protect your heart, Three Stacks. That's my only thought process there.
Since we just spoke on Vashti, I think we
We
should
gotta talk
only
about
just
Mark.
go to Mark. Good old shiny suit.
Shiny shoe,
Billboard.
shiny teeth,
Yeah.
Mark. Okay. I feel bad about Mark. I feel like he really tried. But like understandably, Yasmin was just like, I'm not free. I'm not free of my previous situation. And like she didn't want to waste his time. You know what I mean? But I appreciate Mark for shooting his shot respectfully. Yeah, Vashti did not shoot her shot respectfully, and neither did Josiah. Some of that is Josiah's fault too. Like, why did you have this woman in my house without telling me this woman was going to be in my house? Oh, sorry, we're off. We're off her. We're off of her. Not talking about her anymore. But Mark, like, he walked up to her and was just like, "Hey, I think you're beautiful. I think we have a lot in common. I've like watched you and admired you for a really long time. Like, just give me a shot." Like, he was like, "I'm aware your situation's new. I've been there before, et cetera, et cetera. Just give me a shot." And I think I think it was really brave of Yasmin to give him a chance and like go on a date or two. And it was a cute moment between her and Deja when Deja was doing her hair to get ready for the date. I thought that was really sweet. What are your thoughts about Mark?
Mark, I just feel like she was kind of doing it just in spite of everything.
Yeah.
Like Josiah got his little thing, so let me get a little something, let me try this out. Even though you could tell she was never really like feeling it.
Mhm.
And I don't think she was, well, maybe a little bit intentionally, like trying to like rub it in Josiah's face. And not that she knew he was watching the camera when like they were kissing on the porch or whatever, but I don't know. I think she just needed something, you know.
I don't think that's wrong. I don't think it's bad to kind of just like date to like get your feet wet or other things wet, whatever you need. Like just date to, you may not be over a situation. And she was clear about that of just like, hey, I'm not over this current situation, but you're never going to get over something until you really just got to practice. It's the heart's a muscle. You got to like re-strengthen it again. I think she went about things a lot better than Josiah went about things. Like we asked the question earlier, like if Yasmin had a right to be jealous of Vashti, and like, yeah, if you still have feelings for those feel if you still have feelings for someone else, those feelings of someone having what you want, that jealousy is like completely normal. But I don't think I gave enough credence to Josiah. Like Josiah consistently put Yasmin in these situations where she had to witness him moving on constantly. He only witnessed her moving on with Mark maybe like twice, and once was without their consent. Like you're just watching them on the ring cam in the garage, and like that was weird. You didn't have to do that. You could have definitely not done that. I wouldn't have done that. Why torture myself this way?
Stop it. Get some help.
But no, I think jealousy is normal when someone has something else that you want. But I also think there are rules of engagement when you're dating someone else and you're not quite over the other person. I think Yasmin went about things better than Josiah because like she was very clear with her intentions and with her struggles, where Josiah fully was like, I'm just going to pretend like nothing's wrong and I'm going to jump into this situation, which I think also speaks to their mental health maturity a little bit, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Because like Yasmin's learned certain things through therapy
Mm-hmm.
that Josiah hasn't. So she knows how to navigate things a little better.
Yeah. And like she's more able to be honest about her emotions in a way that Josiah isn't. Like Josiah probably couldn't be honest with Vashti because he didn't have a full understanding of what he was feeling. He probably was just like, well, I'm divorced now, so this is what I'm supposed to do, like moving throughout life like a robot instead of being like, I am divorced. I am still grieving. I'm grieving so many losses, and I'm having really confusing feelings of both anger and affection toward my ex. And yeah, I probably should deal with those first. So Josiah is the real villain of this story. I'm kidding. He's not. He's fine. Um, we have here that we also wanted to talk about the realization of how Yasmin lost their son. Something I appreciate about the story is that like it didn't just immediately like tell you what happened. It kind of like alluded to it, and then there were like little flashback moments where like they were talking about it, but essentially in the story, Yaz was working alone in the restaurant one night while Josiah was out of town. It was a month after they had just lost their Aunt Bert, and it was a month before Henry was due. And she tripped and fell in the hallway in the restaurant and had basically ruptured her placenta, and like the baby couldn't get enough oxygen and passed away, and she had to deliver her miscarriage, and that was just a really traumatic experience for them. And then she wasn't advised to have any more children after that, which is one thing that led to her and Josiah's like last really big argument that led her to ask him for a divorce. Oh girl. That was heavy for me. And I started I un- the first thing I thought about honestly were their two children that they already had, Kasim and Deja. I thought about like what must that have been like to like be expecting a sibling and then like to not have it. Like they didn't, I mean, this is a story about Yasmin and Josiah, but I would have loved to like have learned a little bit more about like their own grieving process, and yeah, how they tried to care for themselves while they were also trying to care for like their mother and father. Like it just must have been really hard in that house for in the months after that. Like I can't imagine that.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you mentioned how they kind of like reveal it slowly,
Mm-hmm.
because I think in the beginning, or whenever we find out that, they lost a baby, it's like there's a lot of ways you can lose a baby, so you don't really know.
Yeah.
But there was this scene where Deja said something, snarky.
Yeah, like it was her fault.
Yeah, or like she was like, yeah, mom went crazy or whatever, and Josiah had to check her, and he was like, you don't understand what she went through because she still had to deliver. And like that's when like the first time I was like, oh wow, like that's really heavy. And,
yeah,
you get the flashback scene about all that happened and this that, and the third. Like I was like, oh man, like
yeah.
that's
For
a lot.
this to be a romance story, because this is definitely a romance. I think that it's also like a story which like probably led to your tears during the book talk. It's a story about grief and about one's mindset, and also about how those things impact your relationships with others as well as with yourself. Because the moments in the story where I cried the most were when Yasmin was having conversations with her therapist about forgiving herself, like about forgiving herself not only for whatever perceived guilt she has about losing the child, but also forgiving herself for how she behaved when she was going through her depressive episode. And the way her therapist just described like what depression is and what it does to the mind and to the body. And when her therapist told her, like, you kind of just got to pick the day that you're just not going to be upset about this anymore, and you're going to allow yourself to move on. You're not going to hold yourself hostage. And like she said something about like tearing herself apart like with a chainsaw like every day, and she's just like, you're not going to do that anymore. You're going to allow yourself to be happy and to feel good and to move on with your life. Like that was, I might like cry now but like those are the moments in the story where I cry like the most. And like I was like underlining. I just couldn't, there wasn't enough highlighter ink to like express like how important. And it was from there that she was able to be like, okay, like I can have a more full conversation with Josiah about the type of relationship I actually want, because I'm no longer feeling like I owe him this subdued version of me because of the guilt I feel about the past. Like I can be like, okay, that happened then, but this is what's happening now. And this is what I want to happen in the future. Like, and it's so hard to one understand that and express that. It's also just hard. It showed to me how the most important relationship we'll have is the relationship we have with ourselves. And if that is not fully strong, because nothing is ever like fully together. And I don't believe you have to be like fully actualize or together before you can be with someone else. But it helps. It helps like the better you know yourself and continue to know yourself, because it's a journey, the better your other relationships can be. Maybe not will be, but they can be better because you are prioritizing what will make you your best and most happy self. And that took a long time for her. And I think that took like a lot of bravery for her to like have those really vulnerable moments, and to take medication, and to take the time to fully understand like what depression is, and what it had done to her and to her relationships, and to then take more time to not feel bad about it. Like that's like such a hard part about like therapy, is like you're breaking down all the reasons why you are a certain way, and then it's like, okay, well, things were telling me like all the ways that like my mind is just bleh, and it's just like, okay, and then you go through the process of acceptance and forgiveness and moving forward with a new understanding for yourself. And I just thought the book illustrated that really, really, really well. I remember those moments more than I remember the sex in the book, which speaks to, I guess, my priorities at this age in my life. I guess I already expressed my thoughts about being wary of therapy. Do you want to express more?
Um, well, I will say, because I think, especially like with Josiah, like sometimes either you think you don't have a problem or you don't think your problem is big enough for therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Or like in my experience of grief, um, Like I lost two of my uncles within like 6 months of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was feeling sad about it, but I used to tell myself, I'm not allowed to be this sad about it because they were just my uncles. My dad lost his brothers. So he can cry or do whatever he does in his private time, but I need to be strong.
Yeah.
I don't need to do that. But that is actually what kicked off my therapy journey.
Mm-hmm.
And, other things made me stay. But yeah, so like I don't know, it's funny, like grief is a funny thing. And even though Josiah lost some, that's really big. You lost your caregiver, an aunt, you lost your son, but to think that like, oh, it's been 2 years. I got it.
Right.
Like it's been 2 years. Of course, I'm
like,
fine. I go about day to day and everything's good. Everything's gravy. Like, but so yeah, I hope that like this book helps somebody who is like on the fence.
Yeah.
About therapy.
To like recognize the benefits of it for sure. Oh, it sounds like you're like characterized a bit more like Josiah, and I'm characterized a bit like Yasmin. Where's my wheel necklace, Melissa? I want a necklace with the wait, the ring with the wheel. Yeah, till the wheels fall off. I want one. I want to talk a little bit about the future. In the end, Yasmin and Josiah are dating. And he proposes to her on New Year's Eve. Well, it alludes to the fact that he's like going to like they're proposing to each other, or he proposes to her on New Year's Eve with a new ring. And do you think that they date for longer? Do you think they get married? Do you think they should get married, or should they be more like the couple in Charlotte, Ken and Mary? Right? Am I right? Yes. Ken and Mary, who are just like, hey, we just together and growing pears in the backyard and we're having a grand old time. I don't know why I got the vibe that Ken and Mary have an amazing sex life. Like, I don't know what line it was for me, but I'm like, they fuck it. Like they are, like they're just holding hands the whole time and just
they were like, very touchy.
They were just very touchy, and I was like, like y'all ready to retire? Go ahead. But yeah. So do you think that they do get married? Do you think they should get remarried?
I feel like they definitely get married again. Okay, so like me, I think I'm marriage girl. I understand people who don't like, be on your Goldie Hawn, Kurt Russell, do that if that works for you.
Oh, you have such good references. That's such a like old school like reference. I love that. Go ahead.
I'm dating myself. Oh
no, you're not. You're definitely not like Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn age.
I'm saying like I'm dating myself because I know the reference. Like,
nah, you're classy. That's all it is. Anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, so I like marriage, and I think deep down they want to be married again.
Yeah, for sure.
I really feel like that was like their end goal, and I think it was good that they saw a couple like Ken and Mary, because like you mentioned before, like it gave Yasmin like an example of like, oh, okay, it can work out. I can get this back.
Sorry.
You're fine. But yeah, like I feel like they wouldn't have been satisfied just like dating for 20 more years or whatever. Like I think that's what they wanted. That's what they know. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to get back to that. And I'm not mad at that. Like I understand, like I said, the couples who like, oh, I want my wing of the house, or you stay here and I stay there. That's great. But I like to be up under my man.
That's me.
I'm so clingy.
I want my own room so bad.
No, like, I man, to live in your skin.
The thing is, like, I want my own room, right? But like, I don't want to be alone in it. I just want to be able to kick you out of it when I need to. Like when I'm like, okay, I feel like laying in bed and watching Architectural Digest tours at like 3:00 in the morning while I eat grapes and pickles in bed. Like, I don't want to do that with you. Like, your butt rubbing up all next to me. I'm like, go to your room. Like tonight, I want my Architectural Digest night. I just want to do that alone. But other than that, like, yeah, like I want to be. why are you eating food without me? I don't understand. I don't
Do you
understand
hate
that
me?
hearing. You don't feel like you want me to die. Like you want me to starve to death because you just went to Chick-fil-A without me. Okay. All right. You ain't even asked what I wanted. Like, who are you cheating on me with? Like, who are you with? Like, see, I don't want to eat alone. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's like the main reason I want to get married. I never want to eat alone. I also don't want to cook. Lord knows. Okay. I do think they get remarried. And I think that their relationship is probably stronger now because they're both in the therapy. Like, I think therapy just makes things a lot better. I don't want to marry someone who hasn't, even if you're not actively in therapy, I need you to have at least gone to therapy at some point in your life for at least a year. Like, I just think therapy just, as we discovered in this story, it just helps you better understand yourself so you can better communicate your needs and things like that. I think they get married again, but again, I'm thinking about the children. Like, my immediate thought was, what is Deja's reaction to this? Like, if they come home like, oh, I feel like she's gonna be like, bitch, like, don't you fuck this up now. Like, are y'all sure? Like, they need to go to family therapy to, like, their trust has returned. I am not sure if their children's trust for their relationship has returned. I can't imagine what that's like to have gone through a divorce of your parents and then your parents get back together. It's kind of like, okay, like, how much am I going to trust that this situation remains like stable? So in the future, if I am predicting what happens, which I hope we get to see in the next book. So is the next book like a retelling of this book from Soledad's perspective, or is it like the next chapter, but in Soledad's perspective?
Yeah, I think it's like moving on Soledad's perspective, finding out what's going on with her husband.
Yeah, and then we find out about Lupe. Something about Lupe. She was like, her name was Lupe, right? The oldest daughter. She was something was interesting about her to me. Like, she was like tall. She won, like, they're like, she can be a model, but like she doesn't really want to be a model. And like she's friends with Deja, and Deja sneaking out of class, and like Lupe's like a little goody two shoes, and like being the oldest child and like having a really close relationship with your mom. I think that's very interesting. I think that like sometimes those boundaries between mother and child can be like disrupted a little bit. Oh my God, I'm so excited. That's not what we were talking about though. But I'd be interested in knowing in the future, like 5 months down the road, like that Yasmin, Josiah, Kasim, and Deja and the dog maybe like all went and got therapy together and like reestablished like their boundaries and also their fears and also their goals for their new relationship, like as a family. And I hope that makes them a stronger family from there on. But yeah, they're together till the wheels fall off. They don't want to be with anybody else. And I think that's sweet.
I feel like in the end, I could have sworn they mentioned that they were all in therapy.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yes. Deja wanted her own therapist because she didn't want to be left out. And of course, we're in family counseling.
Oh, I love that for them. Okay. Well, then I have a lot more confidence. I have a lot more. I feel good. I feel good about that relationship for sure. Were there any favorite quotes or lines from the book that you want to share with the class?
I'm slipping because I think I forgot about that question.
Oh, it's okay. That's fine. I'm going to read one of mine then. Because I have my notes. When I tell you, I couldn't underline things enough. Like, after I couldn't underline any more things, I just started writing the things down from the books. Okay, so from page 290, when her therapist is speaking with her, and I alluded to this earlier, but this is the actual quote because Kennedy Ryan can do it much better than I can. She says, "You can't change what has already happened, what you did or decided. So you have two choices: wallow in it, stay in the chokehold of guilt and shame that holds you back from the next phase of your life, or decide you've punished yourself long enough for the things you can never change and set a date that you will forgive yourself and move forward." And I'm just like, it can't be that simple. But it can. Like, it really can. It's just like, and she's not saying it has to be today. She was like, like, however much longer you want to wallow, but eventually it's kind of just like knowing that, like, I gotta stop. Like, you just really gotta stop feeling so much shame and be willing to move on. Something that we did in our previous iteration of this book club is like we discussed like if we were to cast a movie with these characters. We're back to our last 9 minutes again. Our last 10 minutes. I think we can do it.
Yeah.
If we were to cast a movie with these characters, who would we have play their roles? I can't cast anyone except the fine ass therapist in my mind. And the black guy from the original CSI series, he was also in Jump in the Broom, and he was like making oysters for Megan Good's character. I can't. You remember what I'm talking about? It's him. It's him.
Oh,
like
Shaza.
Yes.
Gary. Gary Jordan.
Yeah, Gary Jordan or something. That is the only person who I pictured very clearly in my mind. I'm like, yeah, this man, an old grizzled, yeah. That's the therapist. That's the only person I could. It's the only person I could picture. Okay. What about you?
I came up with somebody for Josiah. So at first I said Henry Simmons. I don't know. He hasn't had a lot of big roles.
I'm gonna Google him.
Yeah, I used to call him the Stacey Adams man because he used to be in a lot of Stacey Adams ads.
I know who you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking
about? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, a little darker.
Right. So that's why I have other options, because when I was rereading, I was like, oh, I think Josiah is dark skinned. So I was like, either Trevante Rhodes or Aldous Hodge. Because I feel like Aldous Hodge looks like he could be a father more than
Trevante Rhodes. Trevante got a nice smile though, for sure. Anyway, okay, I can see that. I can see why Vashti would be tripping. I can see it. Definitely. Anyone else that you pictured?
All I could think of. Oh well, Soledad. I was like, maybe like a what's her name, Dasha Polanco.
Oh, yeah, because she's supposed to be like a little bit more like full figured and like just okay. I like that. I can see that for sure. Yeah. I was picturing like a Gina Rodriguez for Soledad, but I think we can do a little bit better than that. Okay, so if we also use someone to do like recommendations, like if you liked this book, you may also enjoy this movie or this other book. Do you have recommendations for people who enjoyed Before I Let Go?
No.
No. Just read Before I Let Go. Damn it.
Yeah. Read some other Kennedy Ryan. Maybe read Real.
Real is also a very good book. It's one of the books we read for our book club that we never discussed, and one day we will. We might.
Okay. I'm trying to think if there's like a movie that I would like put with this. I
don't know if there's a movie I would put with this, but I feel like there might be like a really good playlist you can build off of this book. Like I definitely listened to Feels Good by Tony, like after I finished it and I had to drive somewhere. And then after that, This Is How We Do It by Maxwell started playing, and not Maxwell, by Montel Jones started playing. And I was like, okay. And then like it just started like this whole like 90s kind of love playlist. And I'm like, I can get with this. Like, so definitely turn on some old school 90s R&B when you're listening to this book, because the book kind of feels like that. It feels like that really expressive, pining, jumping up and down and singing in the rain kind of love and angst for sure.
Oh, also, I want to mention Yasmin's an Aggie.
Is she really?
That's what I'm thinking, because okay, we know that Josiah is a Morehouse man.
Yes.
And in one part, when they're in the hotel, he says something about her wearing her Aggie sweatshirt or
something. She is. Oh, you're right.
Yeah. And
she
then
is an Aggie.
When she's having the conversation with Deja, they're watching A Different World. And she was like, oh,
yeah.
For you. I was like, they say Aggie, but they never say North Carolina A&T.
But Aggie pride.
She an Aggie. Okay.
Melissa's an Aggie. I am not, but love for the Aggies over here. It's Aggie pride all day. We're also in North Carolina, so I feel like I have no choice. Someone's going to hear me out here, and something's going to happen
in season 2. Coins, right?
Okay, so our last section. How would you rate this book on a scale of 1 to 5 in terms of stars? 5 stars
across the board. I've never heard anybody give this book less than a 5.
Me either. This book is popular. It's one of those books where I'm like, believe the hype about this book. Like, even if you don't like romances and like you're not like into the whole like happy ending trope or whatever, again, I don't think the story is just about the romance. The story is much more about the characters' relationships with themselves, and I just think it's just 5 stars, 100%, no question about it. Which I love. That's such a good book to start with, like a really good 5-star book. Speaking of our next book, do you want to announce our next book that we're going to read for next month?
Our next book is a very popular book. I've actually never read it. Have you read it?
I have not read it, but I've always wanted to.
Okay, so our next book is The Coldest Winter Ever by Sister Soldier.
A hood classic.
Yeah,
I'm excited about it. Her also has some very sexy scenes as well, so another reason why I am excited about it.
I feel like it's like a good coming of age book.
I agree. So we're going to read that, and we will be back to discuss it the next time you're here. You hear or see us on Knocking the Books. Thank you for being part of our little conversation.
Yes.
This was fun. I like talking about books with you, Melissa.
Me too. I love it.
Okay. Alrighty. Bye, everybody. Bye. See you next time. Outro. Do, 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 do. I don't know.